Dog seeks help to rescue a baby, attacked by bees, and something unexpected happens. A story that will prove heroes have 4 paws and a huge heart. An old dog, a helpless child, and a rescue that would forever change the fate of 2 lives. Subscribe now to the channel and discover the outcome of this emotional story. Jack, an old and gentle dog, was walking through the farm when he heard a faint cry. His tired but alert eyes searched for the source of the sound. In the tall grass, something was moving. It was a baby, small and alone, covered in bee stings. The wounds were severe, and the boy looked very sick. Jack knew he had to help. Something inside him told him this child couldn't stay there. Carefully, Jack approached. The bees buzzed around, but he didn't care. His gray fur bristled with concern. The baby needed urgent help, and Jack was the only one there. With his teeth, Jack gently grabbed a nearby blanket. He covered the baby, protecting him from the bees. His movements were slow and careful, as if he were carrying the most fragile thing in the world. The boy whimpered softly. Jack made comforting sounds, trying to calm him. His eyes showed deep protection, almost paternal. He knew he had to get the child away from there. He began dragging the baby, using the blanket as protection. The bees kept attacking, but Jack didn't give up. Every step was calculated, every movement thought out to avoid hurting the boy. The farm was large and empty. No humans around to help. Jack would be the only hero in this story. His muscles, though tired from age, found extra strength in the need to save the baby. The sun began to set, painting the sky orange. Jack continued his silent mission. Nothing would stop him from protecting that helpless child. Nothing at all. On the horizon, a house came into view. Jack knew he would find help there. The first step of a journey of love and courage was just beginning. Jack dragged the baby carefully. His old paws left marks in the dusty ground. The nearest house seemed like a distant dream, but he wouldn't give up. The bee stings worried Jack. The boy was covered in small red wounds. He needed urgent medical attention. Jack's experienced dog eyes knew that. Every step was a challenge. Jack was tired, but his heroic heart wouldn't let him stop. The baby was his only priority at that moment. Protecting him was all that mattered. The boy cried less now. Perhaps he felt the safety Jack provided. A special bond was forming there, between an old dog and an abandoned child. A bond of protection and love. Jack knew that path. He knew the farmer's house wasn't far. His instincts guided him, even in his old age. Nothing would stop him from saving that child. The bees had given up. Jack had won the first battle. Now, he needed to find help for the baby. His ears moved, alert to any noise, any sign of danger. The sky darkened quickly. Jack picked up the pace. He didn't want to be alone with the baby in the dark. He needed to find help before it was too late. The child was calmer. Jack made soft sounds, as if singing a lullaby. His fur covered the baby, protecting him from the cold that was setting in. Finally, the house appeared. Jack summoned his last bit of strength. He was almost done saving the boy. He was almost done completing his mission. Jack barked loudly when he saw the porch light. A man came out, startled by the noise. His eyes widened as he saw the dog carrying an injured baby. The farmer, John, ran to Jack. He quickly realized the gravity of the situation. The boy's body was covered in bee stings. Without thinking twice, he picked up the child. "We need to get him to the hospital," John said. Jack followed closely, never taking his eyes off the baby. He wouldn't leave that child alone for a second. His mission wasn't over yet. In the car, Jack sat in the back seat, close to the baby. His ears were alert, watching every breath the child took. The boy seemed weaker with each passing minute. The hospital was far. John drove as fast as he could. Jack could smell the fear in the air. He knew the baby needed urgent help. His protective instincts were at their peak. The doctors quickly took the boy in. Jack didn't let John go in alone. He stayed by the stretcher, his eyes never leaving the child. The nurses were surprised by his dedication. Hours passed. Jack waited outside. He didn't eat or drink. He just waited. His heart pounded, waiting for news. At every sound, his ears perked toward the door. Finally, a doctor came out. He smiled at John and said, "The baby will be fine." Jack took a deep breath. His mission was complete. He had saved the child. That night, Jack slept peacefully. He knew he had done something important. He had saved a life. Days later, something unexpected happened. John decided to adopt the baby. He had no children, and this child needed a home. Jack would be his guardian. The boy, whom the doctors named Tommy, grew strong. Jack was always by his side. He protected him as if he were his own child. He watched Tommy play, sleep, and grow. Tommy learned to walk by holding on to Jack's fur. The dog guided him through the house, always careful. They were more than friends. They were family. A bond that went beyond words. Years passed. Tommy grew up hearing the story of how Jack had saved him. A story of courage that would be told for generations. Jack, though old, remained strong by the boy's side. At school, Tommy told everyone about his rescue. "My dog is a hero," he said proudly. Jack always stayed by his side, wagging his tail, as if he understood every word. John watched their bond with love. An old dog and a boy he had adopted. An unlikely but perfect family, united by fate on that special night. Jack could no longer run like before, but his heart remained young. Every look at Tommy reminded him of his original mission, to protect. And he continued to protect, even if more slowly now. During vacations, playtime, and tough moments, Jack was always there, a silent guardian, a four-legged hero who had changed a life forever. A life saved, a family formed, all thanks to a dog who never gave up. Tommy was now 18 years old. Jack was very old. His fur was white, his movements slow, but his love remained the same. On the farm's porch, the two looked at each other. Tommy knew the end was near. Jack had given everything to protect him. Now it was time to return that love. He lay down beside Jack, hugging him tightly. "Thank you for saving me," he whispered. Jack licked his hand, as he always did. One last gesture of love. That night, Jack slept in peace. His greatest purpose in life had been fulfilled. He had saved Tommy and watched him grow. He couldn't ask for more than that. John watched the scene with tears in his eyes. He knew how much Jack meant to Tommy. He knew how important that dog had been in their lives. The next morning, Jack passed away, but his story would remain forever. A story of love, courage, and protection. A four-legged hero who changed a child's destiny. Tommy would keep Jack in his heart forever. Every time he looked at a photo, he would remember the dog who saved him. His guardian, his hero, his friend. The farm fell silent, but Jack's story would echo forever. An example of true love, of limitless courage. A hero who proved that love has no species, only heart. If you also believe in the power of love and the loyalty of dogs, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this one. And I want to know, have you ever lived or heard of a heroic story like Jack's? Share in the comments. We'd love to read your story.